What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Monday. Gloomy day in Nashville, gloomy game in Nashville yesterday as the Bengals beat the Titans 37-27. Brian Callahan and Will Levis from the season now dropped to 3-11. There were 3 games left and a lot of questions about the present and the future at the Titans quarterback position. I've got Sam Phelan with me on this Monday morning, having to switch the schedule up a little bit. I'll discuss more of that after the official open of the show, but could it be the unofficial end of Will Levis as the Titans quarterback in Nashville yesterday? We'll talk about that, talk about the door that might be left open, the decision to bench Will Levis. Sam, your reaction to the reaction from the fans of Will Levis's benching. A lot of things to get to. It's a Monday. We will keep the age game here. I'll let Zach throw shade on Tuesday. We'll talk more about the schedule in a second. But Sam, welcome in. Tough game yesterday to watch. I saw the fruit spread. Looked pretty good there in the press box. But welcome in. Let's get this thing off and rolling.
Yeah, we had a loaded, entertaining game. As tough as it was to watch, there was a lot going on and a lot of storylines coming out of yesterday's game against the Cincinnati Bengals, which will make for an exciting week of shows here on A to Z Sports and a great one on this Monday. But before we get into it, make sure those of you watching at home share the show. If you're watching on Facebook, hit the share button in the bottom right corner. If you're watching on YouTube, take the YouTube link, send it to a group chat, repost it on the Twitter X timeline, get the word out there. A to Z Sports is live, and we're having a very important conversation about the future of Titans quarterback Will Levis. So share the show while we kick it off on a Monday morning.
Yep, let's do it officially. Welcome to the A to Z Sports, powered as always with the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He's Sam Phelan, one of our Titans reporters for A to Z Sports.com. We are Nashville's on-demand sports network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. Also hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. Got to thank our sponsors. They make it happen for us, and they help out all of you, like Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process. See them in Lebanon or online, wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans at fbhp.com/ATOZ. And T-Dot, join T-Dot to help keep Tennessee beautiful and in the littering across our state by going to nobodytrashestennessee.com. Chuck says, let the trashing begin. Instead of ending the trashing, let the trashing begin here. Titans lose 37-27. We'll dive into all of this game. Will Levis benched. And Sam, we'll get to your reaction in a second, but you're here on a Monday. Normally, you're not here on Mondays. Normally, it's Zach and I, the original A to Z, on Mondays, but Zach will be here tomorrow on a Tuesday because you were flying out to LA for a pretty big event Wednesday night. Is that right?
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. Yeah, flying out Tuesday morning, going out to LA for the finale of Survivor 47. So, yeah, got to switch up the schedule a little bit. The show must go on. Had to hop on and give my thoughts about Will Levis and that, like I said earlier, entertaining and action-packed and storyline-filled game that we saw between the Titans and the Bengals. So you'll have me today on the morning show. You'll have me tomorrow night for A to Z Sports primetime in place of Buck Rising. But off to LA I go, so a few days out of pocket for old Sam.
Yeah, and then you'll be back on Friday. So we'll find out. We'll see you on Friday and see how much of we'll see Wednesday night. Look, something I am looking forward to in my life is Wednesday night Survivor finale after that abysmal game by the Titans. So Zach will be in on Tuesday. Then Easton and I will bookend the Survivor finale shows on Wednesday and Thursday, and Sam will be back on Friday here on the show. But now let's dive into that game because Will Levis threw 2 interceptions in back-to-back pass attempts. Then he also had a fumble in there to start the turnover frenzy. And then after the halftime, came back and threw a pick 6 to Geno Stone as the Bengals took a 31-14 lead. And that was the end of Will Levis. Here was Brian Callahan discussing the decision to bench Will Levis in that game yesterday with a follow-up from Sam in the press conference after the 37-27 loss to drop the Titans to 3-11 on the season.
Today wasn't his day. He had a couple bad picks, put us in some tough spots. So I made a decision to sit him down and try to give us a little bit of a spark. I think we had a series there. It was like 3 turnovers in like 7 plays or something. Again, not the fumbles necessarily weren't his fault, but one of them was. And those are things that you have to do sometimes for a quarterback when they're struggling a bit, and he was struggling today. So we'll see moving forward. We got to watch the tape and see what we can correct and how we can do it better. But definitely wasn't his day today.
The fans got up out of their seat, standing ovation once Will came out of the game. What do you make of that? To loudly hear from Titans fans how they feel.
I don't know. I don't worry about those things. I try to focus on how we can improve and get better. Fans react to what they react to, and don't have much control over it. And if that's the way they feel that way, they feel that way. There's nothing that I'm going to do to try to explain one good or bad. And so we just trying to keep focused on what we can get better and what we can do to hopefully have it so they can cheer on a whole bunch of other things other than that. So that's kind of where I stand.
So, Sam, you followed up with that question because that's something that Easton and I on the postgame show, we didn't even think about. Like, I saw all of a sudden your article at AtoZSports.com popping off because you wrote about the Titans fan reaction inside Nissan Stadium without even having any idea what you were talking about because the Fox broadcast didn't really touch on the Titans fan reaction. So take us inside Nissan Stadium. What did you see and hear when Brian Callahan made the decision to bench Will Levis yesterday?
Well, yeah, I mean, Levis came out of the game after the pick six. So there was a little bit of a break. Throws the pick six. There's the kickoff team. We're all kind of looking over to the Titans sideline to see what the deal is. Levis is standing next to Bo Hardigree, the quarterback's coach. No helmet on, got his ball cap on, just sitting there talking, looking at an iPad. Meanwhile, Mason Rudolph has a helmet on and is warming up on the sideline. So we start to go, okay, look what's going on here. Mason Rudolph gets ready, and then as the Titans offense comes out to the field after the ensuing touchback, Mason Rudolph jogs onto the field, and the fans at Nissan Stadium rise to their feet and give a kind of a Bronx cheer style of standing ovation to the Titans for replacing Will Levis. So yeah, maybe not something that came across in the broadcast, but definitely something that was evident in the stadium on Sunday was the Titans fans in the building making it loud and clear that they were happy to see the quarterback change being made.
Yeah. Now I don't want to get into a bigger conversation about this, but just thought on Brian Callahan's approach to the fans reacting to a player being benched in a negative way. Because we all remember the whole Malik Willis got booed against the Falcons by the fans when he came in to take Levis out, and Titans fans and Titans players and coaches stood up for Malik Willis in that situation where Brian Callahan was just like, look, fans are going to do what fans are going to do. What are your thoughts on the way that Callahan handled that question from you?
I think it's fine. Great. I like this idea that, you're not going to sit there and shame the fans for, cheering for what they want. This football team has not given them many reasons to cheer. They're entitled to celebrate what they want to celebrate and boo what they want to boo, but also not giving, a ton of credit or credence to what the fans are cheering about. So I do think that's the right answer from Brian Callahan. I felt inclined to try and get a comment from him and see if it was something that he noticed. But I would say the right idea for the head coach to just say, yeah, I mean, fans are going to react to what they're going to react to. It doesn't change my process or what I need to do as the coach at all.
Yeah, I agree. I thought he handled that just totally fine. So let's hear from Will Levis and see how he handled the benching in that game. Here's the Titans quarterback after.
Quickly, did it kind of, spiral down? Yeah, just a series of unfortunate events. Those, 4 out of those last 5 possessions, like the turnovers, you're never not going to, or rarely ever not going to get pulled when you turn the ball over 4 times. So, I understand that. And, I got to watch the tape and see how it all went down. I kind of already know how a couple of them happened. And the last one was definitely the most disappointing just because it's a look that I was ready for and that I was ready to launch, and God made a good play, and it sucks. It wasn't my day. And
do you undo some of the goodwill or good impression you're making with the coaches when you hit maybe a downturn with a decision or 2 last week and with a game like this?
I'm just going to try to do my best to play the position the best that I can.
What did Brian say to you when he pulled you?
It was Bo. I didn't get to talk to Brian. He just told me, turn the ball over 4 times, man. Like, that's what happens. And there was no fight. I just understood it. It sucked. I was there for Mason and the guys, and just tried to be the best teammate I could for the rest of the game.
On the decision for the future going forward, Callahan had mentioned like you pulling through. I know as a man you have to do that individually as a player. How do you do that after a performance like this and just what's piled up?
Yeah, I'm not fretting. I know who I am as a player. I know what I'm capable of. I felt like ball was coming out of my hand well, and there's things we could do at all positions to help us out in a couple of those turnovers, but there was nothing discouraging about it. It was just one of those days, and I'm going to keep swinging, that's for sure.
On the first, could you maybe walk us through on the first pick, who you were going for and what happened to that one?
Tyler's, he's working his sail route. He gets kind of jammed, didn't get as much depth, and the guy on Nick was able to fall off of him and get underneath the window. It's man coverage. I'm just trying to see the separation in Tyler and his man. He doesn't get quite his depth, and that allowed the corner to be able to fall off of Nick, which I didn't feel. So, yeah, just got to be better, like I said, across the board.
Well, have you felt this season like you're still having to make your case to keep the job that you've had?
I can't think that way. I think that's just going to – I think earlier in the year, like after the first few games, I got my head spinning and thinking about that, and I was able to kind of bring myself back to base and remind just myself who I am and bring the confidence back to my mind. And, yeah, I'm just going to fight every day for this team and until I can't anymore, and it's not my decision in that respect, so I just got to control what I can.
A lot of Will Levis right there. Sam, man, I think we should let's go ahead and ask the audience this question to keep this show moving forward, because Levis, admitted you're going to get pulled if you turn the ball over like that 4 times, 3 interceptions in 7 plays, which is kind of crazy of how it all happened. But the first question to you guys today: how would you define Will Levis's benching by the Titans yesterday? So how would you define? It's super open-ended. We normally don't do this, but it's a different circumstance. How would you define Will Levis's benching by the Titans yesterday in that loss to the Cincinnati Bengals? But real quick, we'll tell you guys it's almost there. We are less than 10 days away from Christmas, which means you got to get that last-minute shopping done. And amomentspeace.com/Christmas is the place to go to guarantee yourself a win and a victory this holiday season. Get the loved one in your life a gift card from A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa right there in Franklin, Tennessee. They are fantastic at what they do. I had a couples massage with my wife a few weeks ago. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we get something in the stocking this year to maybe set up a Valentine's Day couples massage too, coming up here in the near future. amomentspeace.com/Christmas is where to go to guarantee yourself a win right there in Franklin. amomentspeace.com/Christmas. So Sam, I'll have you go to the chat. How would you define the Will Levis benching yesterday by the Titans? What are you seeing from the chat?
Well,
we can do more than one word.
I was going to say it's not a one word, but most people are falling into the one word category.
Hey, I guess we've trained him well, right?
Yeah, we've got an obviously needed from Darren, appropriate, justified. Let's see. Trey says late. American Tough also says 8 games too late, but then I see a premature from Meyer Hoshi. We've got necessary, we've got deserved, we've got long overdue. Here's an interesting one I want your take on, Austin.
Okay.
Different from Mariota's from Camry. Marcus benched for Ryan Tannehill. I mean, do you agree that it's different from Mariota's?
I mean, the situations were completely different overall. Like, yeah, Marcus had seasons of success earlier in his career, and
the team was more competitive.
Yeah, for sure. Like, they were a win and get into the playoffs the year before he got benched, and he had the nerve injury in Vrabel's first year, and Marcus and his team decided to not play in that game, and the Titans lose with Blaine Gabbert as a starter. They missed the playoffs, but they had a lot of expectations going into the season in 2019. So yeah, it was a little bit of a miss. Like, it's very different because they are not the same team situation.
Yeah. we've got a had to happen in here. Define it as temporary, says Jace. He's got to start the rest of the season to complete the tank, but thinks it's a temporary benching. Edward just says a very good move by the organization. David says a bit too late to possibly win the Bengals game. I think there's a lot of different ways that you could frame this. I'll go ahead and go first.
Okay.
Austin. To me, the Will Levis benching yesterday was the beginning of the end. I've been pretty optimistic for the entire season that Will Levis could be the Titans quarterback of the future, confident that he would be the Titans quarterback in 2025. I think if you really wanted the truth out of me, I still feel kind of confident in his abilities. If you were to give him time to develop, that it would be good, that he could be good and would be a good quarterback in this offense. But I think yesterday was about as telling and damning as it can get for a quarterback in the NFL, that it's just not going to happen at this spot with this team. I think he's a great candidate to do the Sam Darnold 2 years from now and like pop up, spend a couple of years as a backup and, pop up in year 5 as like a starter for the Seahawks. And you're like, oh,
like, whoa, what?
Will Levis is good now. Yeah. I mean, I do think he's a great candidate to do that. But when a coach who has nothing to gain because the team is bad is benching him, when a fan base that, is applauding your benching, it's hard for me to see a world where that relationship is reconciled. And we'll get into Brian Callahan's comments about the future of the quarterback position a little bit later on in the show. But for me, this is like when a coach starts getting asked about job security, or a coach has to start like rushing to the defense of his quarterback, being like, oh no, he's still our quarterback. Like, if you have to say it, if you have to do it, it's probably over. And we said when Will Levis came back from his injury that if he was benched again, if he was shut down again and sat down, it was going to be over. At 3-11 now, I think you start to look at a lot more realistic paths for how to draft a quarterback in the 2025 draft. I think it's wide open as far as the draft order is concerned and where you could end up as the Titans. I think you are going to start looking at the potential free agent market. And is that a smart idea? I don't know. I lean no. I just have a hard time seeing this coaching staff going back to Will Levis. It felt like a pretty damning decision by Callahan in the game yesterday. Even if it was not Will Levis's day, even if he turned the ball over 4 times, I get it. I've seen Joe Burrow turn the ball over 4 times before in a game. Sure. I've seen good quarterbacks that are young quarterbacks do this all the time. And you usually stick with your guy and try and build them out of this rut. Cap says Levis is playing hurt. We got really no indication that was the case after the game.
Yeah, and like I tweeted out the picture from pregame warmups, and it got some pretty decent reach of him holding his throwing shoulder joint and doing the Will Levis grimace face. And
it looks like his shoulder is hurting him, but
yes,
like just the way that he's throwing. I remember talking to Nick Suss watching practice earlier this week. We said his delivery looks a little different. He's throwing it with a little bit more deliberate follow through. His shoulder's a little bit further down instead of as high as it normally gets. It doesn't look like how Will Levis throws the ball. But then why are we not hearing about this? Like, this could be something that we should and could discuss to let people know what's going on. I don't see a point in lying about the fact that he's hurting if he's hurting.
It's to me, it's obvious that he's not right. And ever since he got hit at the very end of the first half against the Jaguars, I think that really popped it back up. But look, so how do we define this benching versus the Bengals for Will Levis? You said the beginning of the end. Sam, I call it the unofficial end because that is it. The goose is cooked. The nail is in the coffin. It is over. Any chance that Will Levis has of being the Titans quarterback for any type of long term is done. It is no longer going to exist in a hypothetical world. And I think Easton put it in the post-game show pretty well yesterday. It's like in a golf match play when one player's just won enough holes and you kind of call it because the other player doesn't have enough holes left to win to come back. It's over. He's got 3 games left, but that's not enough data for him to overcome this yet again. The roller coaster ride is a scary one. It's not fun. I love roller coasters, but not this ride. It's terrible because you get teased and then you bottom out. Then you get teased again and then you bottom out again. And every bottom out seems to be worse than the previous one because he went back to September Will Levis and we lost November Will Levis. Really, if you want to include December 1st in that against the Commanders, he was solid. He was not the problem. They got blown out in that game. But Will Levis cannot consistently put together good enough play to be this team's plan. So it's the unofficial end of Will Levis as this team's plan.
What he's shown this year is sort of the quintessential NFL backup now. Like the good backup that you're happy to have as your backup quarterback. That is what Will Levis has shown. This ability to come in and start a game and look awesome and make some special plays and really lead you and play well enough for you to win. And then there's a chance that he's going to come in and lay a stinker and throw multiple interceptions and not even get to 100 yards. And so that seems to be the more realistic trajectory for Levis right now is Titans 2025 backup for no. I mean, I would say now I'd be surprised if he wasn't with the team next year.
I have no idea. And I said this yesterday in the post-game show too. Like, I truly don't know what to expect this offseason of who is going to be the Titans starter in 2025. I feel good about it not being Will Levis taking the field.
It is wide open. It's creating a lot of interesting conversation right now. Little tease here. Tomorrow on A to Z Sports Primetime, I'm going to have that conversation. We're going to talk a little bit about quarterback options that I find realistic for the Titans in 2025, all the way from Will Levis to Shedeur Sanders and every NFL veteran in between. We're going to go over the options and break down what we think is realistic and what we want to happen. But to your point, I think it's an interesting conversation because it's so wide open. You are currently sitting with the 6th overall pick in the draft, in the projected draft order.
Mm-hmm.
There is a chance you pick first. That is not out of small chance. It's not out of the question yet. There's a chance you pick 2nd or 3rd and you're in that quarterback range to grab one of those top guys. There's a chance you're not, and you jump up and reach on a different quarterback, which I saw in a mock draft the other day. It was let's see if I had it up, but they like went and pulled trigger on like Quinn Ewers or whatever.
Oh God, no.
I mean, I don't even know if there was a lot of quarterback suspicion.
Yeah.
There's a lot of free agents. People assume Sam Darnold's going to get signed by Minnesota. Buck Rising and I were having an interesting conversation of just like Sam Darnold maybe became the least attractive option over the last couple of weeks because Sam Darnold has played well enough that he's no longer the guy getting the bridge quarterback contract of 2 years, $40 million. He's now getting 7 years, $200 million.
No, 7. Nobody gets a 7-year contract.
Whatever. You know what I mean? Sam Darnold is going to get like $40 million a year.
It is going to be wild. Yes,
because he's played his way into that. I'm the starter and I'm going to get paid like a starter territory. And you cannot be the team that pays Sam Darnold $40 million and doesn't have it work. And so there's a lot of different variables at play here when weighing what the Titans quarterback situation is going to look like. And honestly, not to try and spin zone the hell out of this thing, but the next 3 games, I'm like glued to my seat for, because everyone matters now as far as like where the Titans are positioned for quarterbacks moving forward.
Yeah, without a doubt. All right, so Johnny and Trey have interesting chats that I want to get to. We also have another question. We've got more from Brian Callahan about Will Levis. And so how do we define this benching from Will Levis? I said the unofficial end. Sam says the beginning of the end. So a lot of similarities there. I'm going to get to a couple of chats here that I find very intriguing. But real quick, T-Dot is doing its best out there. They're trying to clean up Tennessee and keep our state beautiful, because our state is beautiful. And we know this as it's the holiday season. We're traveling a lot more, which means we're on the interstates, which means we just see all the litter, all the white trash up and down the sides of the interstate. And like, why? How did I get there? Why do people allow that to happen? Well, we can all be a part of the solution to end littering in our state and pick up that litter by visiting Nobody Trash Tennessee, by learning of how you can jump in and how you can get involved. Your kids can get involved with great volunteer opportunities. They can take litter quizzes. They can save you money on tickets to events in the area. That's pretty cool. Take a quiz about litter on Nobody Trash Tennessee and save money on event tickets. Sounds great to me. You should do that. I've got to do it this weekend as well, as I'm going to travel up to Columbus. I'm sure I'll see litter going up 65 north to Columbus to watch Tennessee and Ohio State. NobodyTrashesTennessee.com. Shout out to T-Dot and all the work they're doing. NobodyTrashesTennessee.com.
Today's show powered by BetMGM. It's the sportsbook born in Vegas. If you're trying to get involved on some NFL, NBA, college basketball, or college football playoff action, the time to do it is now with BetMGM.com. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports when you sign up with BetMGM and get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. So whatever your first bet wager amount is, it goes back into your account in the form of a bonus bet with the sportsbook born in Vegas at BetMGM.com.
All right, so Johnny starts it off, and this is in response to how I define the benching of Will Levis was the unofficial end, and that I think it's done. Johnny says, I don't know about all those absolutes, Austin's. Titans would have to find a replacement, which I doubt is possible next season. He's going to be here and start in all likelihood. And then Trey kind of comes in and says, ask the chat, is the Levis era over? I'm guessing an overwhelming response of yes. And so go back to Johnny's, like, I think the Titans are done planning around Will Levis. He is not their plan.
Yeah.
Anymore. So,
look,
but this,
I think Levis being here, I agree with from Johnny. I mean, maybe, right? Who knows how the offseason unfolds and if you trade him. But I do think, like I said, I mean, why wouldn't you want him as your backup, especially now that he's got some time with Brian Callahan? Now, I think that would make sense.
I think the quarterback position is a different one, we know. And I think there's not a lot of opportunities where a guy is the starter and a guy is the captain, a unanimous captain voted preseason by his teammates, and goes through a season and plays so bad that he gets benched and loses his job and then stays on that roster the following season as a backup. That does not happen at the quarterback position. Marcus Mariota gets benched. Davis Mills was not like, he was let's just kind of see what happens and just kind of throw this young kid out there who was like a later round draft pick.
He was a day 2 pick.
But Davis Mills was not marketed as the Texan savior. Will Levis was marketed as the guy the Titans were building a new stadium to have playing in, right?
Yeah.
That's not, so it's very different. So I honestly would bet against Will Levis being on the roster next year because that's weird. It's weird. It's living with your ex.
I don't think he's the backup if it's a rookie, for sure.
I don't think it should be the backup anyway. I would rather like Mason Rudolph.
But I will say that there are plenty of options. There's a long history, and you go down the line of the guys who I actually compared Will Levis to earlier in the year, of these day 2 guys being replaced by veterans, proven veterans, and being benched and staying on the roster. That does happen. I look at like Drew Lock when he was in Denver. He gets replaced with a signing of Teddy Bridgewater, and the Broncos move Drew Lock to the bench. Drew Lock was a guy that they had a lot of hype about, and
they
were
traded him
about. The next year, a year later.
That's what I'm saying. Like a year later.
But he spent a year as the backup in Denver.
Yeah, but I just don't think but did the Broncos market Drew Lock as like the face of the franchise? No. Like Will Levis has changed the way the Titans have done this.
Anytime you have a young starting quarterback that looks promising as a rookie, they're going to get the level so Curtis brings up Sam Howell, and like I agree, like that's what I'm saying. If it's Shedeur Sanders for the Titans in 2025, if they end up in a spot to draft him and they pick him, there's no chance Will Levis can be on the roster. Yeah, you can't do the young 25-year-old quarterback backing up the 21-year-old kid when the other guy was supposed to be the franchise quarterback and he's also on a rookie contract. If you're bringing in a Shedeur, you're going to want a veteran backup to sort of look after him.
If Will Levis is not the Titans starter next year, then he should not be on the roster. Because Will Levis being on the roster next year and not being the starter and being the backup is like dating somebody in the workplace, breaking up with them, and then having to see them in the office every damn day. It's weird. It's awkward. Nobody's having fun. It flat out sucks.
That's the league, though, man.
No, but that's not. No, it's not. Like it doesn't happen like that. If you are the plan, if you are the guy, if you are the commitment, and then it fails. You're not just hanging out and still, see each other in the break room. That's not how that works in the NFL. That's not how the quarterback position works. It's too important. And so he will either be the starting quarterback next year or somewhere else in the NFL. But he is not. There is no in between.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
I feel so strong about that. It's the quarterback. And it's how he was presented to everybody this entire calendar year of 2024.
Okay. I don't know. I think there is a world. I agree with you. If it's a young guy, you just can't do it. I do think there's a world, and it depends. I'd have to look at names and figure out what like exactly the threshold is. Where if you were the Titans and you were in a position to bring in a veteran that I think commands some respect from Will Levis and is automatically like, and I don't even mean, it doesn't have to be anybody amazing, but like, and this won't happen, but let's say the Titans ended up in a situation where they acquired Derek Carr in the offseason. Now, Derek Carr is your starter. I don't think it's crazy to have Will Levis backing up Derek Carr in 2025.
Oh, God, I would hate that so much.
But I'm like, the vibe that I'm kind of going for.
Yeah,
I don't think that that's crazy.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's get to another question and a comment from Brian Callahan, because he was asked about his future for the rest of the season. So there are 3 games left. Sam, you kind of said that you're going to be glued to the TV to watch how these 3 games go because it matters, right?
Scoreboard watching real quick. So
Yeah.
Sorry to do this, but let me refresh my tankathon. So the Titans at 3-11, the Browns are 3-11. So is Carolina, Jacksonville, and New England. All of those teams are 3-11. If the Raiders win tonight, they play the Atlanta Falcons in Vegas. They will also be 3-11. So there's a lot of teams from the 2nd overall pick all the way down to the 7th overall pick potentially having the exact same record. The tiebreaker is then determined by strength of schedule. The Titans, unfortunately, have one of the harder strengths of schedule among those teams right now. Which, by the way, just in case you're a Titans fan watching games and wanting to know what to root for, if there is a game in which the Titans have played one team and not played the other team, root for the team the Titans have played to lose. Buffalo and Detroit, 2 teams the Titans have played, matters a lot less. But I'm trying to find a good example. So Washington and New Orleans, that game, that would have been a huge game for the Titans had the Saints been able to pull it out, because
almost at 2.
They almost did. But the Titans had to play Washington. You didn't have to play the Saints. It would have really boosted, or I guess tanked their strength of schedule rating. But what makes it interesting is the Titans obviously have a pretty clear path to potentially going 3-14, which would include a loss to the Jaguars, who would then be elevated above the Titans. The Titans would jump them. The Jaguars also play the Raiders at a certain point. So the Raiders could potentially pick up another win there. The Raiders have a more difficult strength of schedule than the Titans. So the Raiders are 1 win away from the Titans jumping them. We're 1 or 2 games going their way, from the Titans being up in that top 3 with a legitimate chance at drafting, one of the quarterbacks, or hear me out. And I'll have an article coming out on this in about an hour.
Oh,
I think the Titans are officially in the Travis Hunter conversation.
okay. All right. Okay. All right. So let's hear from Brian Callahan, because 3 games left and a lot to play for and a lot of things on the line here. Brian Callahan was asked about the idea of Will Levis moving forward after being benched from 4 turnovers in a quick period of time Sunday versus the Bengals.
Consider Will your starting quarterback, or is that open to evaluation and debate now?
Look, I think, we'll get through today. I'm not going to make any definitive statements one way or the other. We just have to make sure we can correct what we saw on tape and where we had a tough day for him. And again, sometimes these things happen where you have a rough day and you got to get sat down. So I'm not going to make any statements about it. And we got to see where we can get better and how it worked in the game and where he can improve.
All right. So door's not closed. No definitive statements. So Sam, we're going to ask this question right now to the audience. What percentage did Brian Callahan leave the door open for Will Levis to start another game this season? So what percentage did Brian Callahan in that clip just leave the door open for Will Levis to start another game this season? Get your percentages ready. We're going to see what you guys think about this. That was a very interesting answer here. But first, let me tell you guys about our friends at the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Whenever you get hurt in life, you have to know who you can trust and where you can turn to get that injury taken care of and get back into the playing field of life as well. And that is the Bone and Joint Institute, with all the experts and the resources they have in Franklin, Tennessee, right off of I-65 on Highway 96, next door to Williamson Medical Center. The Bone and Joint Institute is your spot for everything, because I've been to a couple different doctors there with my foot, knee, shoulder, that I've had those injuries the last few years. As I get older, things happen, right? Just like in football, injuries happen in life, but you got to know who you can trust and where to turn to. Right there, book an appointment online when you need them, boneandjointtn.org.
Today's show is powered by BetMGM. BetMGM is the sportsbook born in Vegas. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports when you sign up. Get up to $1,500 back in the form of a bonus bet if your first bet misses. It's the sportsbook born in Vegas. So for NFL, college football, playoff, or college basketball action, go to BetMGM.com.
All right, so let's play it again, and we'll ask the question to repeat it. What percentage did Brian Callahan leave the door open for Will Levis to start another game for the Titans this season? Here was the head coach yesterday after benching Will Levis.
Consider Will your starting quarterback, or is that open to evaluation and debate now?
Look, I think, we'll get through today. I'm not going to make any definitive statements one way or the other. We just have to make sure we can correct what we saw on tape and where we had a tough day for him. And again, sometimes these things happen where you have a rough day and you got to get sat down. So I'm not going to make any statements about it. And we got to see where we can get better and how it worked in the game and where he can improve.
So it's open. The door is open. It's not shut, and it's definitely not shut and locked. But what percentage did Brian Callahan leave that door open for Levis to play another game? Sam, I'll send you the chat. What are people saying here?
65, 20, 6.9, 20, 10, 100, 40, 45, 50, 40, 85. You have to start, Levis says, JR. 56, 69, 10, 50, 60, 10, 89, 10, 40. 10%, but it's Callahan. 51, 72, 28, 50, 90%, 20%, 5%, 50% from Eric, 25% from Phillips, 75% from Ernesto, all over the map.
Yeah, no kidding.
Austin, my number actually was shown in the chat a couple times here.
Was it?
40%. 40%. I think it is more likely than not that it is Mason Rudolph moving forward, but there is still a good chunk of openness to the idea that it could be Will again. because Mason Rudolph could get hurt. Mason Rudolph could play poorly and they decide to go back to Levis for whatever reason. So I'm leaning towards Rudolph, but with 3 games to go, you never really know. And I'll leave it as wide open as 40%. And I was leaning close to going 50-50 because I do think Callahan, I'll be interesting to hear what he has to say today. Let's put it that way. His 11 a.m. Central press conference, see if his tune is at all different.
This one's hard, to be honest. Because, like, what are you going to prove if you start Mason Rudolph 3 times? Like, I think Brian, that's what I was going to say. Is like Brian Callahan maybe to win a game for what? I think at this point, Brian Callahan either has the confidence for year 2 or he doesn't. Like, is Brian Callahan going to do something the last 3 games of the season without Will Levis that's going to change the narrative about him? Or is that kind of already decided too?
I think he could.
I just don't think it would be marginal if so.
I mean, I think a lot of the stuff, even if you look at the Jacksonville game, right? You score 6 points. People are obviously pissed. Callahan's reaction was that there was a lot of small execution things that he felt like kept them from multiple touchdowns. Some of that being on the right tackle, the left tackle, and the quarterback.
Yeah.
Will misses Chig in the end zone. Will gets drilled and sacked without a chance to get the ball out when he has Ridley wide open for a touchdown. There was a couple of like plays that you got to have that you'd like to have that the Titans didn't have. So maybe there is some thought to this idea of putting a veteran like Mason Rudolph, who we've already seen in the offense be able to get the ball out quicker and generate some points. And if you put him back in there and you see another productive offensive day for the Titans, and, maybe there is some proof of concept there for Callahan. I don't know. Maybe it's just to keep Levis healthy so that you can trade him in the offseason.
I think that's a great point. So I don't think Will Levis plays against the Colts, which is this upcoming game. But I do think he plays one more game. I think he starts probably at the Jags. I don't know because I want to see Will Levis. Here's kind of a little inside, like reading between the lines. Will Levis could start in Jacksonville in 2 weeks. And now we can see if Brian Callahan can quickly turn around improvement against the same opponent within like 4 weeks of one another and go from 6 points to more points and take advantage of some of those missed touchdowns. Like, how can Brian Callahan coach up Will Levis in that moment? Does that help anything? I don't know, maybe. But like, then I think, so you're at 40% chance the door's open and he starts one more game. I'm kind of right there with you. I don't know if it matters to go a little bit higher or lower. Maybe I'm going to say 45%. 45% chance that Will Levis starts at least one more game. I think it's going to happen. I feel confident in that.
I can see it. Yeah. I will say too, I mean, Titans play the Colts next week. Has there ever been a more important game for them to lose?
It's a big one.
I mean,
well, the next 3 are very important to lose.
Well, they all are, right? But like, you can't necessarily blame them if they lose if they beat Jacksonville, because Jacksonville is also very bad. And I'm anticipating a loss to the Texans because correction, like back to reality from your one hyped win over the Texans on the road. But this Colts game is the one that I could go either way. And I'm just like, man, this is going to have some impact. The one last year, the end of season win last year against the Jaguars did not bother me whatsoever. You lost like 1 draft slot, I want to say. And like,
which is the difference in Malik Neighbors and not Malik Neighbors.
I think they take a quarterback, a tackle either way. But as much as I would have loved Malik Neighbors, I do think they take the tackle regardless. Or somebody else trades up, like the Giants maybe trade up to the Chargers spot. I don't think it impacted things all that extremely in regards to the draft. But if you're looking this year, I think it like with how tight the bottom of the NFL is, one win, one game is going to matter a lot. So I had a thought and I'm losing it, but
it's okay. Well, I was looking at the Texans did clinch the AFC South yesterday too. By the way.
Well, the loss to the win over the Jaguars was also cool and worth it for one draft spot when you factor in it was the final Ryan Tannehill era Derrick Henry game of just like sending those guys and Mike Vrabel at the end of the day too. It ended up being the end of that entire era. I think it felt good in hindsight to end that with a win and a big game for Derrick where he went over 100 yards. That was all very, very cool. So I think you can understand that it was worth it for the Titans. But if you win a game with Mason Rudolph against the Colts in week 16, and it takes you out of contention to replace your franchise quarterback, I mean, you can't be mad at Mason Rudolph, but wow.
Yeah, that'd be wild. I just looked at something because you talk about the Texans game being important for Houston. They're like right now, the Texans are one game behind the Steelers for the 3 seed in the AFC. And it's kind of a weird thing. The Steelers and Texans both teams play the Ravens and the Chiefs the next 2 weeks. The Steelers go Ravens, Chiefs. The Texans go Chiefs, Ravens. The Steelers end with the Bengals. The Texans end with the Titans. So I thought that was really interesting to see how that plays out between the 3 and the 4 seed because I think that matters a little bit.
Oh,
right? Yeah. For sure. So I thought that was kind of wild there overall. But like,
if the Titans lose their next 2 games, if they lose to the Colts and then lose to the Jaguars, I'm going to be wearing my finest suit. I'm dressing like I'm going to the Super Bowl in week 18 for Titans-Texans at Nissan Stadium. And I guarantee you that press box is going – I mean, Austin, it reminds me of 2 years ago or whatever when – or I guess, 2 years ago when the Bears first got the number 1 overall pick, which they then traded for future for number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
But it was that game where the Texans won right at the buzzer as the Bears lost. And you were just kind of like, oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. We got number 1. Like that press box at Nissan Stadium with as many teams are going to be in this like 2, 3, 4 win range. If the Titans are playing to go to 4-13 or 3-14, and it's the difference between the 2nd overall pick and the 7th overall pick.
Oh man.
I mean, we are going to have scores and games on laptops and screens, and we'll just be kind of like going back and forth. But it will be
it'll have like a March Madness feel to it, right? Like all these games,
it won't matter. Like the game will matter. The Titans game will matter significantly less than the results around the league, which would be crazy.
Sure, absolutely. All right, so let's get to some super chats here because we've got we had a long week. A long week to talk a lot about Will Levis, the Titans quarterback future as well. So we've got some good topics stacked up. Sam, you've got prime time tomorrow night. We're going to talk about the future. Zach will join me tomorrow on Tuesday to go through his thoughts as Sam is flying out to LA for the Survivor finale on Wednesday night, which is very exciting as well. But we'll get to some super chats here, and then we'll get to the age game to wrap up this Monday. Real quick, Farm Bureau Health Plans, that's where you should turn for any health coverage needs you may have as an individual, as a group, whatever it may be, as a family. Farm Bureau Health Plans can help you just like they have been for Tennesseans for over 78 years. So whatever your situation may be, Farm Bureau Health Plans knows exactly how to get you the best health coverage for the correct rate for your situation. So make sure that you don't just sit there and pad a pocket and go to the dentist twice a year. You get one set of teeth, use them wisely and take care of them by going to Farm Bureau Health Plans and get a quote today by using our link, fbhp.com/ATOZ.
BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Bonus code ATOZ Sports to get your first bet back in the form of a bonus bet up to $1,500. So whatever your first bet is, it's risk-free. You can lose. You can get the money back. You can get a second chance to win big. Just use that bonus code ATOZ Sports when you sign up with BetMGM.com and use the sportsbook born in Vegas.
All right, super chats before we get to the age game. We've got Andre comes in and says, most frustrating is watching the 2024 quarterback class that I wanted to wait after missing on Stroud. Playing great. Dreams of what should have been. So Andre wanted the Titans to not go Will Levis in 23 to save one of the quarterbacks for 24.
This quarterback class.
It's good, right?
My goodness. I mean,
we're not even seeing two of the guys play.
I mean,
Penix and
we are on the trajectory for this to be one of them, like one of those classes that you look back and go, wow, there's 5 arguable Hall of Famers in this class. Just because I think there's at 5 or 6 guys that should be starting 10 years from now. And that's crazy.
Timing is a lot, right? And the Titans' timing has not been good because they've drafted quarterbacks in 2022 and 23, not in the first round, in the third and second round in those years with Malik and Levis. And Anthony Richardson still has like weird ass box scores where he's like 5 of 17 passing for 50 yards and a pick. And Will Levis is doing what he did yesterday, and Bryce Young loses and they're still not very good.
Yeah.
And CJ Stroud's going to the playoffs for the second year in a row. But outside of, this class.
No, I mean, 2023 is looking like a 1 QB class. I know Bryce Young's gotten a little bit better, but I think he's kind of on that Levis trajectory of looking a little bit better. And then you're kind of going to realize that it's just not consistent enough. And then on the flip side, you've got the 2024 draft class where Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Bo Nix are all studs. Michael Penix is, in waiting to play very well. And there's other.
And then on the flippity flip side, you've got the 2025 class. That looks like a 1 quarterback class. And so you have the Titans who have drafted quarterbacks in 22, which is a 0 quarterback class. And then in 23, which is a 1, and the potentially needing 1 in 25, which is a 1. So that sucks. That's just not fun for anybody. Kicking the King says time of death, December 15th, 2024 at 2:10 p.m. Central.
I'm assuming that's the pick 6 time.
Maybe. I do not confirm the time of death on that. But all right. Ryan Field says classless Vols fans cheering he got benched. Ryan.
All right.
Oh, by the way, Ryan said he was off the Levis train officially.
I don't know if it's Vols fans. Some of them are probably Vols fans, I'm sure. But, I think it was Titans fans are ready to do something different.
As Easton said in the post-game show yesterday, we should all come together and all together realize what we are watching here, and then it's not good enough, right? Regardless of which college team you do or don't cheer for.
Yeah.
Witty Banter says, I'm not ready to pull the trigger on any new quarterback yet. One bad game in the second half of the season does not change the improvement he's made. I do think he needs competition to start next season. Now,
there's a lot here. I agree with the point. I do agree with the point. One game does not a quarterback make. And this is where I have to set aside my own individual feelings about potential development from what I think is the likely trajectory of the franchise. Because I am with Witty Banter. I believe Will Levis can still get better and turn into a really solid starting quarterback in the league. I think one game that is admittedly not his day is not necessarily a reflection of all the progress that he's made or the quarterback that he can be moving forward. But as we have talked ad nauseum about on the show, you bench him midseason. The fan base gives you a standing ovation. You're 3-11. You're looking like you're going to be in a position to replace him. He's now finishing year 2 in a 4-year contract. It's hard for me to lean anywhere, but they're going to look in a different direction.
Because Witty Banter, it's not just one bad game in December. Like there's more than that, right? Like we have to understand that it's not just, we're not looking at one game in a vacuum. It's the full picture. And the full picture of Will Levis is he continuously makes really, really bad plays that kill this team.
Which is, I mean, this is a character trait of some quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I mean,
and the bad plays come in different forms, right? He threw 3 interceptions in 7 plays yesterday. That's like catastrophic bad. But like we can also look at last week against the Jags, bad plays in
I don't
missing.
think he was horrible against the Jags. He had one bad play against the Jags.
He missed a wide open touchdown to Chig, and he tried to go for the hero highlight touchdown to NWI instead of what was there, which was the Calvin Ridley drag over the middle on the 2 4th downs. Because I think that is the Will Levis tendency is go big or go home. And he's going to go home.
Yeah, I mean, like Jerry says, Goff had 4 interceptions against Houston, and the team bailed him out. 5 interceptions, and that's true. And so that is, I think, speaks to the point of the super chat is that this happens to quarterbacks. It happens to good quarterbacks. Balls get tipped in the air, they get intercepted. You make bad reads, you misread how deep the safety is. This stuff happens to quarterbacks. But the thing with Will Levis right now is that he has still not been able to show that he can remove this from happening entirely. Yes. And if you have the tendency of reverting back to 4 turnovers in the game,
you can't keep playing. You can't keep giving the ball.
It's going to be hard to win a starting job. I mean, it's kind of like it's not, but it's Jameis-esque.
Yeah.
Right. In the sense that everybody's like, oh, make Jameis the starter. And then he keeps throwing picks and you can't do it. You can't start Jameis and win games.
Will Levis is Jameis Winston without the funny, weird ass one-liners and the passing yards. Like it's just the bad part. No, I was just being funny.
He makes he's way more athletic and makes a lot better plays than Jameis does with his legs and like off-platform throws.
Yeah, but Jameis also averages like 350 yards passing.
Jameis has an absolute gun, but can't seem to rein it in. But I mean, that is the reality. For you can watch 3 to 4 game stretches of Jameis where you go, oh, Jameis, make him a starter, and then he is a 2-game stretch where he throws 5 interceptions in 2 games and loses, and you're just kind of like, I don't know if we can do this anymore.
Yeah, for sure. So a couple other super chats here. Wait, I was going to go to something.
Denise says Justin Fields or Jake Browning. Justin Fields.
I mean, why are we having to make that decision? Like,
well, I think people are looking at the free agent.
Jake Browning, guys, because Jake Browning played like 5 games under the Brian Callahan.
Buck brought up Jake Browning in the press box yesterday, and I was like, why do we want that?
We were talking about an exclusive rights free agent type guy. Like,
and he said, buddy, Jake Browning went 9-8 last year.
No, he didn't. Buck.
I don't give a shit. Like, I don't care.
Thank you. Like Jake Browning.
I don't care.
Browning doesn't even make restricted free agent money. He's an exclusive rights free agent. Jake Browning is not the answer. He's Browning, okay.
Good backup.
It's ridiculous. Jake Browning. God, that's just so bad. Okay, I got distracted with that Jake Browning Buck situation.
Apparently Buck is a big Jake Browning guy. Denise says he brought it up on primetime last night.
Jake Browning. Buck knows like the surface level things about Jake Browning.
Yeah.
Servuco says Alex Smith was benched multiple times and turned out good. It depends on how you react and how you learn from it. If Levis is not able to grow from it, I'm done.
I agree. Yes, I agree. But Alex Smith is a different league, right?
And he also played for how many different franchises?
No, I think he's talking about young Alex Smith, but even so, it's 2006 there.
Yeah.
I think that, like I said, Levis is a prime candidate. Like we're talking now about Justin Fields, about like Zach Wilson is a name that I know Buck was bringing up as well, for being a potential starting quarterback for this team next year. You roll your eyes. That's what you're looking at, buddy. Like that is what it's. What else are they going to do?
We're not talking about that today.
All right, I'm just saying. I'm like, this is where we are. If they don't get in it, that's why I'm saying these last 3 games matter so much, because if you're,
I agree with that.
if you don't lose enough games to get in the
shooter
the
sweepstakes.
draft sweepstakes, you're looking at Zach Wilson, Jake Browning, Justin Fields.
No, you're not. You don't have to. You don't have to.
Sam Darnold is not going to be a free agent. I am all but positive the Vikings are going to re-sign him.
So trade for JJ McCarthy then.
That'd be great, actually. That's not a bad idea.
I mean, they're not gonna have both, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
If you're talking about the Sam Darnold contract that you're talking about, like the big one, like not the
but I also don't want to give Sam Darnold that contract. I'd much rather.
Oh yeah, I don't either.
I'd much rather be like, 1 year of Zach Wilson. We'll see how this works. Than like pay Sam Darnold $35 million.
Yeah. Barron comes in, says, get Levis back out there and finish the tank. Only 3 games left. Need the best pick possible to trade back for value. To trade back for what? Who's trading up?
Yeah, I mean, trade back if you're picking 4th.
For who? Who's trading up for who to get to 4?
Tet McMillan. I don't know.
Yeah.
You might need Tet McMillan.
That's what I was about to say. Whoever you would trade back, you'd probably should
need whatever you're. The only way that I feel like you trade back if you're the Titans is if you're in one of those spots where like the quarterbacks, Travis Hunter and McMillan, are all gone, and then you're
the quarterback, plural or singular.
Well, there's a lot of interior defensive linemen and corners that are top 10 talents that are not at positions of need for you where you could potentially trade back. But in general, desperate teams don't trade back.
For sure. Kick of the King says, sad the T-Sweat stiff arm gets memory hold now. Look, I mean, it's funny. The 2 biggest stiff arms in Titans history are completely irrelevant because the Derrick Henry stiff arm on Josh Norman actually was not a play. That was a penalty, and the play didn't happen.
So
and then you get the T-Sweat.
I think you're just showing why it will not get memory hold because they lost this game and the T-Sweat stiff arm didn't give them some win. It's a bad memory, but it was also sick, and we're going to remember it forever.
Yeah, we're gonna remember that.
It was hilarious.
Yeah. Amnesia just is. How many excuses would Austin make if he was a Vols quarterback? Why amnesia, bro? Like, what am I doing?
Why did you highlight that?
Because I find it ridiculous.
You just wanted to get your feelings hurt.
I wanted to call it amnesia for being illogical. What does that have to do with anything? Like, what excuse making am I here making for any Vols quarterback? There's not a Vols quarterback to make excuses for because Hendon Hooker's not playing. Joe Milton sucks, and I've said he sucks for so long. Like, there's no Vols quarterback to make excuses for in the NFL. What do you like? Amnesia is just like writing this because, again, the Will Levis Kentucky stuff is not because he played at Kentucky. Because he wasn't good in the SEC, and I watched his games.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. Like, I'm going to have to do this again.
I'm going to make excuses for Tommy DeVito, though.
Why?
It's an Illini.
Oh, I forgot he went to. Oh, by the way, speaking of that.
Nope. We got to get to age game.
Okay.
I cannot do it. Dude, you have no idea how miserable sports make me. I have nothing going for me. Like, that's what
hold on. You just said you have nothing going for you?
Sports wise.
Okay,
I'm sitting there like pleading with my TV the other day. I'm like, dude, Austin already has the Vols in the playoff. Like, they're already number 1. They're going to be fine regardless. Like, give me this one. Come on. Like, nope.
But hey,
we're going to miss a free throw and then, not defend the full court. Like, after controlling 59 minutes of the game, I'm just like, yeah.
Sam, I've got nothing going for me. Leaves on plane tomorrow for Survivor finale to LA.
Worst baseball team in the history of baseball.
I've got nothing going for me. Oh, that was funny. Okay. All right. Let's get to this age game here. Shout out to Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process. WilsonCountyHyundai.com is where to go. Shout out to them. Go see Payne Bone for us. WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Karen says, skip the age game. Not a fan. So many people are fans of the age game. Sam, do you like the age game?
Yeah. Depends if I get it right.
Okay. I'm gonna do a little Illinois flavor for you. How old is Darren Williams? Former Illini backcourt stud. How old is Darren Williams? I'm not gonna describe him any other way.
40.
40?
Yeah.
That's your answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, 05. You got to assume he's like 21. So he's in that range, 39, 40, 41, but I'll say 40.
You're saying 40? Okay, let me pull it up here. Okay, let's see. All right, let's go to the chat. Scrolling to the top. Rashid clearly has no idea who Darren Williams is. It just goes with flat out 76. How about this?
Is it the first comment?
Second comment from Rashid's, but correct. It's 40.
Bang!
Admittedly not prepared. So I just thought of the most recent Illini basketball player that I could do it to get it done with. So good job.
Yeah, I feel like you got to do give me a quick redemption on a random celebrity.
You want to do something? See, that's my problem. Is I don't know celebrities. Celebrities are not on my mind. So I don't.
I've gotten it right twice.
That's because I give you sports guys that you can easily put a year together. Like, oh, when were they drafted? What year?
Exactly.
Did they do
You gave me, or Zach gave me.
That's why I suck at it, because I don't know anybody that's not an athlete or a sports figure. That's easily time stamped. That's my problem here. So I mean, Ashley says you could have gone with D Brown.
It would have been the
same thing.
Same vibe. They're within a year of each other, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm. Let's see. Bustin Diamond says Rashida Jones. How old is Rashida Jones? That's Karen in The Office, correct?
What?
Who am I thinking of?
Karen? I don't even know if there is a Karen in The Office.
Yeah, that's Rashida Jones. Karen in The Office. The girl that Jim dated when he went to Sanford.
Oh, I forgot her name was Karen.
Yeah.
How
old is Rashida Jones? That's correct.
Ooh, don't want to be disrespectful here.
Yeah, or Ann on Parks and Rec.
48.
Son of a what? You gotta be kidding me, right?
Is that it?
Yeah.
I
hate this place. That's so stupid. God.
That's unreal.
Yeah, Ashley's he's cheating over here. Sam's got nothing going for him, just sweeps the age game.
that was crazy. Back to back is crazy.
That was ridiculous.
I won more age games in the last 6 minutes than Austin has in his career.
Accurate. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just not bang as Bustin Diamond says. That's ridiculous. Orlando says Austin sucks so bad. I don't know people. I don't know celebrities. That's why I'm bad at this game. I don't know who Tom Hardy is. That's the one. I remember the name Tom Hardy. We've talked about this. I still don't remember what the Tom Hardy show or movie example was that you tried to explain to me what.
There's a lot of them.
I know. He's Bane, right?
He's Bane.
Yeah, but you don't even know you don't even see his face.
Tommy,
so how do I know that's Tom Hardy?
Tommy in the greatest movie ever, Warrior. He's Venom.
Venom, never seen it.
He's in Peaky Blinders.
I haven't seen it.
He's Mad Max Fury Road.
I haven't seen it.
I mean this is on you at the end of the day.
That's
that's
my point. That is my point.
Popular films I just laid out.
Yes, and I don't watch films. I just don't. So that's the point. That's why I'm so bad at this stuff, is because I have blinders on. Speaking of Peaky Blinders, I've got blinders on, and it's just this stuff. All right. I can say a lot of weird draft things, but I don't do this. All right, that's it for us. Whew. A lot of stuff to get to here this week. Big, long week. Make sure you hit that like button, like the show. And we'll check you guys on a Tuesday morning. Zach back on the show with me talking more Will Levis fallout as well. Brian Callahan speaks to the media at 11 here in about an hour and a half. We'll catch you guys later on. Buck Rising Live tonight for A to Z Sports Primetime. Sam, safe flight to LA. We'll talk to you later in the week, and good luck.
Sir.
All right, guys. See you later. Appreciate it as always.